Maplewood Lane was a quiet street, where neighbors exchanged polite nods and small favors, like dragging trash bins up on stormy days, or helping Mrs. Clara mend her garden after a squirrel invasion. I'm a structural engineer, tired of downtown offices, turning my garage into a workspace and gym as a side gig. My driveway held neat stacks of plywood and insulation, all permitted, nothing blocking the sidewalk. But Laura, the new neighbor with a BMW and a vanity plate that shouted glamour, had other designs. She burst in like a storm in yoga pants, complaining to the HOA about kids' sidewalk chalk art within days. By the end of the month, she'd proclaimed herself the HOA's enforcer, her corner lot a great spot to spy on every residence. On day 2 of my delivery days, Laura marched over, heels clicking, holding an HOA clipboard. "You can't park that van there," she snapped, gesturing at my work van. I laughed, assuming it was a joke. "This is my driveway, Laura. It's temporary, with a permit." She interrupted me, hand raised. "The HOA has aesthetic standards. You're killing the street's vibe." I was willing to produce my city permit. She scoffed. "That's your problem with the city. I speak for the community." No one supported her, just Tom looking out his blinds and a guy taking his dog for a walk. The next morning, I woke up to find a red tag stating "Unauthorized Vehicle" on my van, Laura's Comic Sans signature watermark. I ripped it off unmoved until a tow truck came by a week later. I came home to my van half on the lift, Laura standing there instructing the driver as if commanding an army. "Mine is my property," I yelled. "You can't tow from my driveway." The driver, bewildered, looked at his papers. "HOA directive. Isn't this a communal area?" I almost laughed. "This is my home, my van, and she's out of line." Laura snapped. "You were warned. You're disturbing us." "Who's us?" I retorted. I began recording, focusing in on her AWA compliance officer badge, adorned with a gold star sticker. The driver paused, exclaiming, "If there's an error, call the city." That's when I caught sight of a permit number on the tow order, requested by Laura. She had forged a road enforcement request. I displayed my van's title, ID, and renovation permit. He lowered the van. Laura stormed off, promising to come back with reinforcements. I spent that night without sleeping. I planned, using city zoning websites and calling in favors with officials whom I had worked with on commercial projects. At noon, I got a permit to shut Maplewood Lane for 2 weeks due to safety and loading testing for my garage. I called for steel barricades, warning signs, flashing beacons, and an authorized vehicles only, permit 9271B sign. That night, Laura came out with her yappy dog wearing a sparkly collar and bristled. My driveway was a fortress of machinery, her BMW hemmed in by orange barriers. "What's this?" she screamed. I handed her the laminated permit as a checkmate. "Street's closed, Laura. You told me my driveway was off limits, so I made sure no one uses the street. Hope it's not too much of an inconvenience." Her jaw dropped, speechless. I strode away, camera rolling, smiling. War was declared. By dawn, the street was a work zone. Barricades closed each end, beacons flashed by Laura's car, and my sign yelled authority. Neighbors adored it. Mr. Lopez complimented me on the traffic-free quiet, stating his children could ride their bikes safely. Tom nodded as he hosed his lawn. People took pictures, laughing. Laura remained silent, probably seething behind her blinds. Her friend, driving a car with a Diva plate, beeped at the barricade that afternoon. I showed her the permit. "City order. Park elsewhere." She drove off in a huff. Laura arrived a few hours later, dressed in workout clothes, yelling, "This is harassment. You're punishing everybody." I stood behind stacked drywall and said, "City approved. Your tow attempt was illegal. This is safety." She referred to my arrangements as petty. I referred to them as permitted. She stormed away, almost falling over her dog. That evening, 2 cops knocked, Laura hiding in the back, anticipating my arrest. I ushered them in, presenting my permit folder, zoning permits, closing requests, safety specs. They nodded, awed. Laura shouted from the porch, He's weaponizing permits. He shut out my friend. The cop closed my folder. Ma'am, this is legal. It's one of the tightest permit packages I've ever seen. Laura slammed her door, porch lights shaking. The cops wished me well and instructed me to call if she got out of hand. I knew she'd blow. I went home that night to find my bins over, paint spilt behind my van. New cameras photographed Laura at midnight, hoodie up for dumping rubbish. I stored the footage, duplicating it for the HOA, city, and myself, but didn't report, keeping an eye out for her to dig further. Then, a phony HOA citation showed up, penalizing me for disrupting community access in Laura's sloppy capitals. I copied it, blacked out my address, and uploaded it online with pictures of my permit and barricades captioning it, "Laura, the HOA bully, fined me for my driveway, so I closed the street." It blew up, gaining thousands of likes. Commenters congratulated my permit game and proposed merch. A reporter requested an interview. I turned her down, not yet ready for a circus. The neighborhood abuzz. Mrs. Clara brought cookies, thanking me for holding out against Laura's domination. She told me how Laura attempted to prohibit her bird feeder for pests. I saw this was larger than my driveway. Laura's next threat was a flyer for a mandatory HOA emergency session, shrieking "Neighborhood Crisis" in bright pink script, no official letterhead. I went, which I sat in the back of the clubhouse. Laura ranted, calling my project a hostile blockade and me a manipulator, skipping her tow attempt and vandalism. Neighbors fidgeted, uninterested. Then Mrs. Clara stood. "I've lived here 28 years, and nobody's made me feel more unsafe than Laura." She listed Laura's threats: her garden, wind chimes, bird bath. Others joined. Mr. Shin on his kids' party, Russ on a skateboard warning, Tom on Christmas lights. The HOA chair, Mr. Daniels, rose, voice unyielding. "Laura's suspended from enforcement, pending review." The air was filled with relief. Laura cried about lawsuits and stormed out, heels clattering. Neighbors hung around, thanking me. I brushed off HOA board nominations. I just wanted peace. The next morning, my cameras recorded Laura discarding her clipboards and phony citations into her recycling. Her blinds remained closed, HOA signs removed. I finished wrapping up my garage, gym rack, tool wall, office nook, and emailed the city to close out the closure, and saw the barricades disappear. The street was alive. Kids played, neighbors talked. Laura's control was dead. But she wasn't finished. A process server delivered a lawsuit. Laura required $50,000 for emotional distress and defamation, stating I'd turned her into a national mockery. I chuckled and sent it to my sister, Emma, a tough civil defense attorney. "This will be fun," she replied. In court, Laura's attorney droned on about my psychological warfare, attempt, vandalism video, and Laura's libelous newsletter. The judge groaned at the trash-dumping clip and dismissed the case in an hour, charging Laura with fees. Laura sat speechless as we exited. Moving vans arrived a week later. Her cameras, signs, and smug presence disappeared. A sold sign went up. No fanfare. Neighbors marked the occasion quietly. Tom's pizza evening, Shin's film night, Clara's goodbye tyrant cake. Laura was gone. Then came a handwritten letter, no return address. Laura vaguely apologized, conceding mistakes. I filed it, a reminder of how fine the line is between order and chaos. There were new neighbors, a young family with a child dressed in a lab coat. Cookies, park cleanup, started by them. The block healed, sidewalk chalk everywhere. My garage was finished. Archived evenings I sat on my driveway, hand in drink, the neighborhood buzzing, archived online. My post continued to receive comments, memes, shared tales. Archived Laura's fuse had started a fire, but with permits, cameras, and patience, I didn't just put it out. I revealed her. She lost her throne, her home, her grip, not because I fought dirty, but because truth outshone her lies. Some battles are won with resolve, not rage. Uncaged, that's what made her crumble.